Hello, dear friend. Before watching, please subscribe to the channel and be sure to comment on what you think about this situation. Main idea of France's continued presence in Africa is becoming counterproductive, and it is time for the country to withdraw. Despite well-intentioned efforts to combat terrorism and provide assistance, French involvement has often provoked negative reactions from African populations. The historical context, strategic errors, and perceived negative impact on African political and economic development all contribute to the current state of affairs. While withdrawing from Africa might diminish France's global stature to some extent, the country has other priorities that better align with its vital interests, such as focusing on Europe and the Indo-Pacific. It is apparent that France's involvement in Africa has had unintended negative consequences. Despite its noble intentions, suspicions of motives and an association with French failures have hindered progress in the region. The anti-French sentiment prevalent among African populations has reached a point where ties with France can be detrimental for African governments, as highlighted by the fate of Niger's president Mohamed Bazoum. It is disheartening to witness the deteriorating trust and the lack of productive relationships between France and African nations. While allocating blame for the current situation is complex and multifaceted, the reality remains that continued French involvement in Africa does more harm than good. France should acknowledge its own strategic interests and objectives as outlined in its national security documents. The Indo-Pacific region, with its extensive trade relations and economic opportunities for France, should be a priority. In contrast, the African continent represents a smaller share of French commerce and no longer aligns with its strategic imperatives. Withdrawing from Africa may reduce France's influence and global stature in the short term. However, this decision would provide an opportunity for France to refocus its efforts and resources on regions that are more aligned with its interests. It is also crucial to highlight the potential negative consequences of continued involvement in Africa, such as exacerbating anti-French sentiments, perpetuating a cycle of mistrust, and hindering African countries' ability to take ownership of their security and development. What are your thoughts on France's involvement in Africa? Do you believe it is time for France to withdraw, or do you see alternative solutions? Share your opinion in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated on global affairs and share this video on social media to spark meaningful discussions with others. Neutrality and negative consequences. While it is evident that withdrawal from Africa may have implications for France's global standing, it is important to acknowledge the potential negative consequences of continued involvement. These include perpetuating anti-French sentiments, hindering African nations' progress, and diverting resources from more pressing priorities. It is essential to assess these consequences objectively and analyze the long-term impact.